talk about presentations and how to make you the star of the show. My name is Jesse, and I have been a training professional for many years now and have sat through my share of bad presentations. I'm sure you have as well. In fact, you may not realize it, but this one is off to a bad start already. The slide itself isn't bad, but this slide shouldn't show up in any presentation ever. No matter the type of presentation you are giving, sales presentations, team meetings, keynotes, speeches, conferences, trainings, you can do better. I'm here to help you solve this problem today. So what's the problem? Your audience isn't listening to you. Your slides are overloaded with text, graphics, pictures, and graphs that are vying for their attention. Your audience doesn't know what to pay attention to. Should they read the text? Should they listen to what you're saying? If they choose to read, they miss what you're saying, plus they will finish reading the text and tune out because they already know what you're going to say. These types of slideshows make the audience cringe. That's why death by PowerPoint is such a prominent mantra after meetings. Also think about the setup on a typical video call. The slide takes over most of the screen, while the speaker's video is only small in comparison. Yes, the audience can see the slides better, but it is one more obstacle to you being the star of the show. Don't make your audience choose between you and your slide deck. Your deck should support what you are saying, not repeat it. If it repeats it, there's no point in you being there. Just send out the information via email and save everyone time. A presentation is only necessary when you must be there to transmit the information. So why is this so common? Why do we do this? The primary reason I've seen is laziness. When prepping for a presentation, it's easier for the presenter to put out all the points on the slide and use it as their speaker notes. This takes way less time to prepare, but is ultimately not effective. Many people don't know better either. It is the only model they've seen, so it's just normal. It's also normal to treat our slideshows as handouts, a way to give the audience something they can refer back to and remember the content. Today, I give you a gift and a curse. The gift is that you will have some principles and tools that will help your presentation stand out from the rest. The curse is that you will start to notice when bad slides are distracting you from the speaker, and it will make you cringe. Let's start by talking about some principles for presentations in general. Remember, the goal is to make you the star of the show. You have an important message that needs to be heard. We want to make sure the slides don't distract from you and you get the time to shine. You don't need to be a PowerPoint professional to effectively hold your audience's attention, just to adhere to a few principles and be intentional about how you set things up. First off, consider, is a presentation even the best format to convey this information? A presentation should only be used when your physical presence is needed to explain, persuade, or when there needs to be a discussion or decision about a topic. If your presence is not required, consider sending an email or creating a docu-slide instead with the comprehensive information you want to impart. If you are presenting, use the storytelling format to guide you as you decide what to say and how to say it. People love a good story. It helps them pay attention more and helps them remember better. People want to be part of the story and not just a bystander. Your entire presentation should be telling a story. Think through the last story you heard or the last book you read. The elements likely included a problem that needed to be solved, a hero that needs to do something or to solve the problem, but they aren't ready yet. They need to go through a growth process to gain the skills or knowledge to be able to solve the problem. Then a guide or a guru shows up. The hero starts to learn and grow, but then there's an obstacle along the path. The hero grows more with the guide's help. Then finally, ultimate resolution to the problem. The story is really not a very good story without most of those elements involved. Your presentation should follow a similar path. There needs to be a problem that needs to be solved. There is a hero in the story, and it is not you. Your audience is the hero, and we are the guides that will help them find their path. The point of our presentation is to persuade them or give them tools to successfully solve the problem before them. The story is not done at the end of the presentation, but we give a call to action and paint a picture of a preferred future for them of what the end of the story will look like if they follow our sage advice. This may be a difficult principle to apply. In some types of meetings, we don't think in story format, but regardless of the type of meeting or presentation you are giving, consider the type of narrative you're telling. If you're telling a good story, you may not need a slideshow at all. Your points will be clear and the audience will be in rapt attention. Sometimes slides are necessary, though, like to make sure your audience is clear on the current point you are trying to make. They are also important when you have graphs or pictures that need to be shared so your message is clear. The point is to think critically about why you are using the slides at all. Remember that your slides are there to support you. Anything that takes away from you and your message needs to be removed. Let's now talk about the slideument syndrome. Your slideshow is not a document, it is not a handout, it is only a visual aid to bring value to what you are saying and should be used as such. If your audience wants a handout after the presentation, take the time to create a separate document. In PowerPoint, for instance, you can use the Notes page to fully customize a handout with pictures, formatting, and text. Keeping the visuals related to the slide you were talking about can help your audience recall what you spoke about in the presentation, but using a separate document keeps your slides simple for while you're presenting. Now that we've decided that we do in fact need to present, and we've decided that a slideshow will in fact build into the message rather than detract, let's start to build our slideshow. The first rule is the 3-second rule. If the audience needs more than about 3 seconds to understand a slide, there's too much information on it, and the cognitive load required by your audience to understand it will take its toll. I know what you're thinking, but how do I make simple slides when I have so much information to convey? The answer? You add more slides. The best practice is to have only one point per slide. If your main point is simple enough, you may be able to get away with just one slide, but more likely you will create a separate slide for each subpoint as well. What used to take just one slide before may now take many more so that your audience can focus on what you are currently saying and make sure they understand it. Let me give you an example. This section of the presentation we're in now is all about presentation principles. Most of the presentations you've been in have a slide that looks like this. Or if you're lucky, it looks like this, less text and a graphic that may or may not be related to what they are saying. Since I want you to be focused only on what I'm saying right now, I think I'll limit my slide to the only point I'm talking about right now. My slideshow will be way longer, but ultimately more effective. Think through what just happened in your brain when I flashed those slides on the screen. Were you listening to me? Or did you try to read the pages instead? Were you able to understand them in 3 seconds? Likely, you were distracted. You were trying to listen, but your brain also was looking at the slide and skimming the information. Aim for a maximum of 1 point per slide. By having just 1 point per slide, we minimize the distractions for the audience. Remember, simplicity is the key. Whatever you choose to put on the slide should build into your point and not take the audience's attention away from you. Let's talk about a few practical tips on how to do this. First, if possible, use only key words. If you must have bullet points on your slide, then use concise bullet points, a key word or phrase only. A better way is to use pictures or graphics that show what you mean. Finally, in the instances when you do have a complex slide, like a process chart or complex data of some sort, make sure to unveil the parts as you are talking about them, only as you are talking about them. The use of slideshow animations can be useful, but use them sparingly and keep them professional. Your job is to focus the audience's attention on what you see as important, and you want them to pay attention in that moment. Another important principle of any slideshow is white space. This is the empty space on your slide that gives the audience breathing room to truly consider what is there. This improves readability and visual impact. The final presentation principle we'll talk about today is to practice. Since we've already decided that this needs to be a presentation rather than an email or a docu-slide, then it means it has some import. Let's take the time to make it as impactful as possible. Take the time to go through your presentations several times so that you are confident in the information. Read it aloud and practice with the slideshow. It feels silly, but helps you internalize the flow of the presentation and work out the kinks. Let's get your message to be heard. This is obviously just the basics on how to create a good slideshow for your presentations. We want your audience to focus on you and your message rather than getting distracted by your slides. If you want more help in crafting your next presentation, considering joining an upcoming Presentations That Matter workshop. This is a hands on workshop where we will take your content, existing or just an idea, and work through the process I use to bring a presentation to life. If you're interested in finding out about our upcoming workshops, please email me. You can also check out my website to see the listings of some of the other offerings I have, focused on executive leadership and organizational operations. Thank you for joining me today. I hope that your critique of speakers in the future isn't too distracting now when you see bad slideshows and you can still focus on their content. More importantly, I challenge you to get out of your own comfort zone to put together a presentation that matters. Clean up your slides and get your audience to listen to you. Remember, you are the hero of the presentation. Command the stage and deliver an impactful message.